The Detroit Lions have officially released cornerback Cameron Sutton. The big get free agent from just one offseason ago is now officially a free agent. Now, yesterday we touched on maybe some of the reasons why this may be. And of course, this definitely relates back to his current legal situation. But we've talked about that yesterday, and I don't really want to dwell on that. I don't want to stir up misinformation. I don't want to give a lot of information because, one, it's not necessarily my story to tell, and two, I definitely don't have the most information about it, and I don't want to spread misinformation about an ongoing situation. So today we're going to talk about the Cam Sutton situation. We're going to take a look at, how he played for the Lions last year, what the cap space does for the Detroit Lions now that he was released, and essentially where do the Lions go from here? What does it mean for the next couple of weeks? What does it mean for the draft? What does it mean for future free agents? And how is this going to affect the team moving forward? So, with that being said, let's first take a look at Cam Sutton's play on the field last year because it was up and down, I think. I think there's a lot of good things that happened, and I think there's, some less good things that happened, I would say. So this video is unscripted. This is breaking news from right after class. So I have not had time to sit down and write a full script. So it's going to be very much improvised and just kind of some initial thoughts. So last year for the Detroit Lions, Cam Sutton played in all 17 games for the Lions, walked away with just one interception for 23 yards on return, had 6 passes defended and 1 forced fumble, forced 2 turnovers for the defense with 65 tackles and 4 tackles for loss. He really struggled down the stretch. In this last season, Cam Sutton allowed a 67% completion percentage for 888 yards and 5 touchdowns with an average quarterback rating of 112.3. By far the worst season of his entire career. Back in 2022 with Pittsburgh Steelers, Cam Sutton played in 15 games, had 3 picks, allowed a 47.9 completion percentage for 388 yards. He allowed 500 extra yards in just one more game of play this year. That is not good. That is not good at all. And quite frankly, he wasn't a very good signing. I don't think he was quite ready to play boundary cornerback. He certainly wasn't physical enough to play boundary cornerback. And there was a big reason why a lot of Lions fans really were upset with the signing at the end of the year. Now, I think there was going to be some optimism going forward. I think there was going to be some, positive feelings moving into the future that, hey, maybe Cam Sutton can bounce back. Maybe Cam Sutton can, have a solid second year with being the cornerback 2 with Carlton Davis taking on that number 1 role. But unfortunately, we will never get to see because Cam Sutton is no longer a member of the roster. So where does that leave the Detroit Lions roster? Well, that leaves the Detroit Lions secondary currently with Carlton Davis as your cornerback 1, likely Emmanuel Moseley or Amik Robertson as your cornerback 2, with the other one sliding in as your cornerback 3, with Stephen Gilmore as your cornerback 4, Khalil Dorsey as your cornerback 5, and Brian Branch potentially as your starting slot cornerback. Now, Amik Robinson can play slot as well, but I think he's better on the boundary than he is on the interior. So with that being said, what does that mean for the Lions moving forward? Well, if we take a look at active free agents at the moment, we take a look at NFL corner free agents, there's a couple guys that are still out there. There's a couple guys that have yet to be signed. And although a lot of cornerbacks have gone off the board, there are some that are available on the market. Now, would I sign a lot of these guys? Probably not. But I think there's a couple guys out there that could certainly be up to the task. Obviously, Xavier Howard's still out there. Dory Jackson's out there. Now Cam Sutton is officially out there. Stephon Gilmore is still available. Patrick Peterson's still available. Rock Ya-Sin is still available. Miles Bryant was okay last year for the New England Patriots, I believe. Christian Fulton is still a guy that's out there on the open market that could be a player to pick up. Shannon Sullivan's a player we've talked about. So there are players out there. Will the Detroit Lions go out and sign another free agent? I think it's definitely possible. At this point, I would almost guarantee a cornerback is taken within the top 100 picks for the Detroit Lions, one of their top 100 picks. And I think there's a pretty good chance that they're going to pick Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29 if he's there. And if he's not there, I think there's a pretty good chance that they're going to trade up and go to try to get a top cornerback in this class. I think Stephon Gilmore probably will cost right around what the Detroit Lions were willing to pay Cam Sutton this year, about that $10.5 million, maybe $11 million. That could be a really interesting signing for the Detroit Lions. Other than that, I think Rocky Sin potentially has some value as a slot guy. I think that, I'm a big fan of Christian Fulton, but I think this really opens up the ability for the Detroit Lions to draft a cornerback, whether that be one of the top four of, Teron Arnold or Kenyon Mitchell or Kool-Aid McKinstry or Nate Wiggins, or, whether they go down the board a little bit and they look at a Mike Sanders still, they look at maybe a slot cornerback, they look at, a lot of different options. And, as much as I wanted Cam Sutton to succeed, obviously I wanted Cam Sutton to be the cornerback two in Detroit. I don't think the defense is getting a whole lot worse without Cam Sutton, because I think at the very worst, Amik Robinson comes in and will give up less than 800, almost 900 yards through the air. So with that being said, Cam Sutton's out. Amik Robertson's in. The secondary gets a little thinner. I wouldn't be surprised if in the following days the Detroit Lions address cornerback need once again and they go out and sign a fourth cornerback this offseason. But with all that being said, that's all I really got for you guys today. Cam Sutton's no longer on the roster. Cornerback's a bigger need than it was before, and I think it opens the door for another free agent and widens the window for another cornerback draft pick. So with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. That is kind of the news update. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.